Black Americans, I'm so sorry to say this. Your enemies are larger than you even think. Because what I'm about to break to you now, it might not be a surprise anyway, but to me, it's surprising that Black Americans do not have allies, to be honest. It's so sad. It's so painful that these people lay down their lives and built America. Built it for Black and brown people to actually come and enjoy, right? Because for their sakes, Black and brown people are in America right now. And guess what today? The people who are fighting that Black Americans should not get reparations are not just the whiteys, but the Black and brown people they fought for to be there. It's so crazy. When I see people debating about reparations, when I see even Africans saying stuff about reparations, it irks my spirit. It hurts me badly. Why? What are we going to gain with being wicked and not being fair to people? For crying out loud, these people have done so much. In fact, their communities have been marginalized. Their lands have been taken, they've been raped, they've been eaten, they've been unalived, they've been displaced, a whole lot of them. These communities have been taken away from them. And all they want is just reparations, just reparations. And it's acknowledge reparations. And the people who were supposed to actually even go out there and protest for them are now the ones sitting on round tables, and now the one actually making videos and saying, no, they shouldn't get it. What a life. Anyways, welcome to Global Justice BJ. Hope you're doing very, very well. This topic we're talking about, it's hurting my spirit. I can even hear it in my mind. Like, I feel like breaking down. Honestly, I feel like just breaking down in tears. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do this video. I'm not going to break down. It's so sad to see people you care for, to see people you could lay down your life for actually do this to you. But in Black Americans, you really have no allies. Let's watch these videos and see what people are actually saying about Black Americans reparations. Let's watch this and see. I'll be back with it. I have so much to say, but I'll be back with the commentaries. Please kindly watch these videos. Do not forget, credit goes to those creators. I'll definitely be back. Let's watch this.
When I say I'll be so over the conversation about do Black people deserve reparations or not, I just be so over the conversation with people who just cannot see the bigger fucking picture. Of course, it's always the same thing, like, money's not gonna solve everything, money's not gonna solve everything. Y'all ain't had no problem when money was given to all these other ethnic groups. Y'all ain't question that, right? You just cut them a little check and ain't do nothing. Yes, the fuck it did.
That you believe that we do deserve reparations because we do. I don't care what anyone has to say about this. If we were Japanese, you wouldn't argue. If we were Chinese, you wouldn't argue. If we were those in the Jewish state of Israel who receive reparations every year from America, you would not argue. If we were the 11 Italians hung off of the coast, you would not argue. For some reason, it's only when Black folks talk about this, then all of a sudden you start talking about the budget, and you start talking about, well, let's give it in other ways, like education. What education? The same education that told us that we were nothing but niggas, or we were half of a human being, or a third of a human being, or the same education that teaches us Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe, or George Washington chopped down a cherry tree, or I don't know, Christopher Columbus discovered America. What are you talking about? See, the insanity that people deal with right now when it comes to us having to face all of you is that you're not even across the board. You're very biased when it comes to everybody else. Everybody else, you care. When it comes to Black folk, you don't give a damn. You genuinely don't. And the sad thing is, many of those who claim to not be racist, you don't do a good enough job by checking the actual racist folk. And those of you who say, I'm not racist, I just don't believe Black folks deserve this. Well, that's the sad part about you. It doesn't matter what you think people deserve. The fact is, a wrong must be righted. That's all. A wrong must be righted. All the banks that you have your money in right now benefited from slavery. Literally, many of them were started because of what was happening to our ancestors by having our ancestors' bodies be capital. The very place that you trade your money on the stock market over in New York City, the very first capital that was used to house and get money for exchange were our people as slaves, and so on and so forth, from cotton all the way down. You got to cut this out. You have to cut this out. This is why you do not have people on your platforms who will challenge you with actual intellect and facts, and who are not going to back down, who have no other agendas.
Everything is literally racism. It's that simple. Have a good day, y'all.
Let's talk about reparations. In response to my video calling for reparations of Black people, this guy responds, "This should have been done then. I didn't own slaves, and no one living was a slave." Let's address this. First of all, let's dismiss the asinine point that because there was 4,000 by 2050, and the median Black wealth will be only $600. Black wealth is projected to be 0 by 2082. This is what we mean by the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. But the scary part is this is not accidental, this is deliberate and systemic. This is why we also say that student debt is a racial justice issue. Study found that 2 decades after taking out their student loans, the median Black borrower still owed 95% of their debt, whereas the median white borrower paid off 94% of their debt. Multiply this across generations and across tens of millions of students, and you see the black and white divide is becoming more and more stark every single day. And this is not some long ago conspiracy. This is contemporary reality. So if the argument really is that we can't pay reparations to slaves because nobody alive today is a slave, well, there are millions of black people alive today who are suffering from these white supremacist policies, denied equal justice because of the US government's contemporary actions. And if you really want to put a number on it, at a bare minimum, $500,000 reparations to every black person in America would be a good start. And that still does not absolve the US government from paying reparations for 400 years of slavery, genocide, and Jim Crow. Class dismissed.
I met a Latino who said he's against reparations for African Americans because the people today didn't enslave the black people. I said, so you got more sympathy for the slave owners' descendants than you do for the people that was enslaved descendants. He was like, what do you mean? I said, think about what you're saying. You're against reparations because you're saying the white people today, none of my white friends had no slaves. Shit, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing like that. And I say, huh? That's sympathetic towards the slave owners' lineage, not the African American lineage, that people that was enslaved. Not to mention the Japanese got reparations. The Hitler people got reparations. What was it? The Jewish people, major reparations. Cambodians got reparations after the people passed away, their family members. Why not the African?
People would be like, victim mentality. Like if a black person talk about when our ancestors were under the condition of slavery. Oh, victim mentality. Stop. This story is not victim mentality. I'm not a victim, right? And you're not going to shame people who have been victimized to not talk about it. Because that's what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
Right? And not you, but it's usually white men, right? It's like, oh, that was so long ago. We've been human trafficked, right? Kidnapped, like just the worst things that you can imagine if we really spell it out, right? And then forced to work, not for a year, not for 4 years, not for 20 years, 4 centuries. Forget about it. Yeah, it is a long time ago. Yeah, you always talking about it. Yes, run me my bag, baby, and don't tell me what to do with it. And don't ask me where do we get the money from. I don't give a fuck. The same bank you got the Ukraine money from, motherfucker.
Print that shit on thin air,
that
bro.
shit, baby.
It's crazy.
And then people like, it's my tax dollars. Shut the fuck up.
And when we talking about the Native Americans, the natives that's on this part of the Americas, right? The ones that's up here, they are already getting reparations. They never stopped getting reparations. When have you ever seen a Native American with a job? You know why they don't have a job? Do you know why they don't have to work? You'll never see a Native American with a job. It's because they don't have to work, because they're getting reparations, because they have reparative justice on the reservation or whatever. I was just watching Love Jones live the other day, and you know, one of the callers said that he used to work at a casino, and he said that when the natives turn 18, they get a nice little $17,000 check from the government. And then when they turn 21, they get even more money. So they already got their reparations. They good. They don't need nothing.
Why do black people deserve reparations for something they weren't alive for? That's a great question. Let's ask Sarah Beth what she thinks. This is Jebediah. Jebediah inherited over 100 acres of land, his father's South Carolina plantation in the late 1800s. He was able to use the money from that land to buy 100 more acres. In the mid-1950s, passed the land down to his son, Mark, who then sold the land for $5 million. Mark started a successful real estate company that he passed down to his son, Tim. Tim was able to take all of the wealth that he generated basically because he was just born. This is his daughter, Sarah Beth. Sarah Beth was able to go to the best schools, live in the best neighborhoods, and have the most wonderful extracurricular activities. He's now getting an engineering degree from Syracuse, already has jobs lined up on Wall Street, has never had to work a job. Are we really gonna look Sarah Beth in her cold, dead eyes and tell her that she doesn't deserve the opportunities that's been afforded to her just because she wasn't born when the wealth is accumulated?
Mexico has so much pain and suffering and crime and abuse, especially of women and children, that us taking it would actually be a good thing. Removing the corrupt government would actually be a good thing.
This country, since its inception, has always been in other people's business and is not taking care of homeland America when white people are immigrants, just like all of these people that you're saying that you don't want to be here.
We don't have a problem with immigrants. Let's be clear. I have
This
no
is is a
problem with
nation
immigrants.
of immigrants.
Precise. We have no problem with immigrants.
But
we have a problem with people cutting in line. It's not okay.
That is
we have
okay.
a problem with people coming here and living off of our social services without ever having given a single tax dollar to those social services, while especially Black and brown Americans don't receive those social services and get ignored in favor of someone that just got
You
here.
can't say Black
I have
and
a
brown
problem
when
with
these people are Black and brown.
frauding from us. When we have
Like, these
Black
are
and
the
brown
same people.
Americans, I said. When you see people that come here and they say, oh, the reason I'm coming is because the drug lords came through my village and said to everyone, either you start planting cocaine plants or start planting poppy plants for opium, or I kill your whole family. And my father is the only one that resisted and they killed him, so we had to flee. Those are things that I don't think it's better to leave that type of stuff alone and turn a blind eye to it and say, well, in the name of peace between the two nations, I'm not going to get involved. That's actually not even something that America typically would say. America would say, we will come to the defense of the defenseless, right?
Well, I cannot even justify that when the transatlantic slave trade happened here, when there are people being mass incarcerated here, when our government is corrupt, where there are Americans that cannot afford groceries right now, when there are people that are suffering in our own country, but yet we can stand on this moral high ground and say, let me go save Mexico from, I don't give a about a Mexican, pause. And it's not even like as people, like I care about people as people, but before we go to a different country and tell them how they need to do things in a just and or moral way, we have to start here. And it's not happening here. America is not okay.
Hey, brother, you better turn your radio, man.
So we think about these Black Lives Matter that they want to be paid for being what is it, slaves and all that?
Reparations.
Yeah, there.
Are you talking about well, I heard they passed in North Carolina.
Yes.
But it was a small little town in North Carolina that passed reparations for whoever's over there. I'm sure they'll try to do something out here in California. I think they already actually got a little board going that they're going to start looking into it. So
yeah, and that's what we, the Rafa, need to step up, protest, and I'm talking major, and turn around and tell them, no, nobody gave reparations until the Native Americans and the Mexicans get ours first.
Listen,
We've been going through this crap a lot longer, so I don't want to hear it. Because it's not fair, dog. How are you going to give a bunch of money to a specific group, dog? This is the United States, a melting pot. How are you going to give it to a specific group?
Because right now they've got the white people with so much guilt. It was your parents.
You know, how do you feel about the Black community receiving reparations?
I'm against that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why so?
Well, first of all, what is the Black community? So, for example, do you mean like recent immigrants from Haiti or Nigeria?
I do not. No.
Okay, for sure. So you're meaning like ancestral descendants of slaves.
Correct.
That could be proven with documentation.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So to be consistent, do you believe that other groups that have been mistreated in America should also receive reparations?
What are those other groups?
Well, they're not necessarily by America, but let's just take one. Jewish Americans, right?
Okay.
They almost got eliminated in the Holocaust. Should they receive reparations?
Not from us.
Okay, not from us.
Not from the United States, that is.
Okay. So here's my view, and I want to hear yours,
Okay.
which is that I did not own slaves, and you were not a slave.
Correct.
Right. So we are individuals, and therefore we cannot be held accountable or should receive something from something that didn't happen to us or something we did not do. That is a basic law of justice, that I can't be held accountable for something that somebody looked like me did, and you should not benefit from something that somebody you were related to. Now, you'll probably say systemic racism and how that passed down through generations. Happy to address that. The problem with reparations, though, is basically what you're saying is, I'm going to take money from Charlie Kirk for something he didn't do and give it to a group of something, to somebody of something they also didn't do. For what reason? How is that just?
So not so much how is it just, but there are those arguments that says because of what happened in the past, this group of people have been negatively affected from this nation's crimes against humanity to that certain group of people. And that's how we see it, or how some people see it, if you will.
Okay, sure, but I will say that even if there is some truth to that, which I wouldn't even be willing to grant very much, because Black America was doing incredibly well before the not incredible. They were pacing to be even richer than white America. Is that we must look through the question of is it just and moral to take from one group, especially first and second generation immigrants that had nothing to do with this. So think about it. Your tax base would be taxing, like, if anyone here is Irish or Polish and your family came 100 years ago, we would be taxing people that had nothing to do with it. And I'll go a step further. My family fought on the Union side of the Civil War, right? So you're going to be taxing Charlie Kirk, whose descendants fought to free the slaves, to go give money to people that were descended, from slaves.
Why is it always the darkest Mexicans and the predominantly indigenous Mexicans, the ones that are most obsessed with being white? They're the ones that you'll see at MAGA rallies or supporting ICE. They're always the first ones to say things like, oh, I'm not Mexican, I'm American. My parents are from Mexico, but I was born in Texas. And then on top of that, they'll say things like, oh, I'm Spanish. My family comes from Spain. I ain't no Mexican. It's always them, bro. People always tell me, Angel, you're a white Mexican. You're a white-sican. You're white passing. Guys, I'm literally 61% indigenous Mexican. I'm only 17% Spanish, thank God. I have way lighter skin than the people I'm talking about, and you'll never hear me say, oh, I'm Spanish. I claim Spain. I'm American. I'm not a Mexican. Never. And here's the thing, look, if you're born in the US, that's fine. You're a US citizen. I understand that. But the thing is, you can always change your nationality. You can never change your blood. And that blood is indigenous Mexican. It's just something that I cannot wrap my head around. But anyways, couldn't be me. Let me know what you guys think.
So I saw California had a poll and they said 59% of people saying they don't want African Americans to receive reparations in cash, and majority of them were not even black. Why the fuck are y'all even in our conversation? This is the shit I be talking about. I swear to God, y'all always in African Americans' business. Mind y'all fucking business. Damn. And the fact that they even get to vote is fucking crazy. Let the East Coast try some shit like this. New York, let alone. I'm smacking anybody lighter than me because y'all gonna keep playing with African Americans and we gonna give y'all a reason to say we're violent. You're basically telling me the slave owners' descendants can get a hearsay on how we get our reparations. That is fucking insane to me. I feel like an African American should get the choice on if they want the reparations in cash or if they wanted to go towards schooling or anything of that nature. But you let them make that decision. You don't let anybody else make that decision as a fucking whole, but I'm not surprised.
Slavery. Francisco, they're looking to pay reparations for black people. Should Americans pay for reparations?
Why is it just for black people?
I think it's to right the wrongs of previous injustices such as slavery.
Is it a trial or a study?
No, I think it's just a bill that's being proposed.
Oh, okay. There's other things in the world and in San Francisco that need to be addressed.
Do you think reparations would de-incentivize personal responsibility and hard work, or would it have positive effects?
I don't think it would have positive effects.
As far as I'm concerned, FBA's pretendians don't deserve reparations. Okay, they claim to be a $5 trillion community, right? But still live on food stamps. So what is reparations going to change? They still depend on the government for everything. Education, housing, feeding, and everything. Transportation, everything. So what's the point of reparations? You already live off the white man. You already live off the white man. So what's the point of reparations? Right? They gave you EBT. Right? That was not enough. They gave you PPP loans. Some of you have not even paid back those PPP loans. Right? No, if they give you reparations today, what are you going to do with it? Make the Chinese richer? Make the Koreans richer, right? You're probably gonna spend it on chicken and sneakers. That's wasted money. No, you don't deserve shit. No. What are you gonna do with it? Tell me. Let me know what you FBA pretendians are gonna do with reparations that you've been unable to do with the 5-point-something trillion you have. What you gonna do with it? Pay child support? You're definitely not gonna pay child support. We know that. You still
I'm going to tell you what's wrong with black people in America. I had the privilege of, when leaving Jamaica, I came to an all-white school in America for 2-3 years. Then I went to an all-black school, right, in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and I quickly realized what the fucking problem was at a young age with black Americans. They have a powerful victim mindset that was installed by the government. Let me tell you why. So they bring you into school and they teach you that black history is slave history, which is wrong. Black history is not slave history. That's the problem. So you're automatically being taught at a young age that you are owed something. that your people aren't shit, your ancestors aren't shit, when they really were. They were kings and queens in Africa. But they brought them over here and created a new history, and now that history is fucking your brains up towards black history. That's not really a black history. That's a small part of black history, was a slave history here in America. Okay? So that victim mindset is destroying the black community, and gangster rap music is destroying the...
It gets to a point. A Jamaican immigrant sitting up here talking about, oh, I'm going to tell you what's destroying the black community. It's the gangster rap. And they have a victim mindset because of slavery. Fuck the notion that is the only thing that the goddamn government has taught us, or that's the only thing that we know of our history. Do you know what happened in the 1900s? Y'all give Native Americans so much blood-clot grace because, oh, their land was stolen. Y'all don't think that millions of acres of fucking farmland was stolen from us? Our communities were flooded way after slavery was abolished. So they do owe us something. They paying the Israelis, them motherfuckers is getting the payouts from our goddamn taxes. The Jewish community has gotten reparations. Asian people got some fucking reparations, and they got a hate crime bill. Hell, people that own slaves got reparations, yet we don't deserve it. That's why y'all are fucking dangerous, and you need to mind your blood clot business. Well, let's take a look at what's going on with the music and the culture over in Jamaica. Hold on, I'll be right back.
In 2015, Jamaica signed over the Kingston Freeport,
slave
our
right now
main
to the
port,
Chinese.
our lifeline to China, who has full control for 30 years. Now they control what comes in and they control what goes out. That's why the Chinese mechanics and other companies move the way they want. No one to answer to. No real checks. No oversight. They run the port, they hold the gate. Why do you think it's after the fact Pika stepped in? Because they don't even know what's going on. But somebody know. Because when it comes to these little things, don't think you can think on the same level you were programmed to think on. You have to change your frequency sometimes. And we are standing on the outside of our own house. We can't even act like we never know. Listen, we will never get out of slavery. Because a nation that can't even control its own port is a nation already conquered.
Here's my question to white people. If this really bothers you, why do you have a problem giving black people reparations? Because everything that has been done in the Epstein files to your little white kids was done to our black children for 250 years. Loon, there's nothing in the Epstein file that was not done on the plantation. They raped our boys. They raped our girls. They raped our women. They raped our men. They unalived them. They ate them. Everything white people crying about in these Epstein files, and they should, because it's wrong. But guess what? It was done to black people for 250 years. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein bought the island, Little St. James, I believe it's called, for $8 million in 98. 28 years. 28 years! We went through it for 250.
Right.
So what are you saying, white people? That when it happens to white kids, it's bad, but when it happened to black kids, it's not? And if you so against pedophilia, white America, right? Do you plan on celebrating July 4th? 250th birthday? Because wasn't Thomas Jefferson a pet? Wasn't George Washington a pet? Wasn't most of the slave plantation owners pet? This is documented, Loon. They would have with 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old little girls. Black, yes. So help me understand how you so upset about the Epstein files, but on July 4th, 1776, all y'all gonna be in Philadelphia celebrate the 250th birthday, a nation that was birthed by pedophiles.
The same people that say that black people don't need reparations are the same people that had a whole ethnic group of other people tending to their farms. The same people that say that black people are lazy and we ask for handouts are the same people that got reparations when their slaves were took from them. The same people that say that black people are incompetent and all these other things helped you win your wars. You remind you, they promised us our freedom all the way back in the first war when they were fighting against Britain. You remind you, we never got it. We still were slaves after that. Told us that it was never promised to us. We go and we continue and we finally break away from slavery and we do the best we can to become what we can. And we still have not received reparations. Another world war comes around, World War II. We got the Jews. You know what happens? The Jews come to the United States and they get reparations. They also bring over Nazi leaders to come and teach them the studies that they've learned. You know what happens to black people? We're still stuck in the same state. When we ask for anything, we're called lazy, we're called incompetent, we're called ignorant. But everybody else in this country has had things handed out to them. The people that try to oppress the other people in this country have had things handed to them from their forefathers. And these are the same people that say that we are lazy for asking things for us when we've had to survive with literally nothing the whole time. Y'all haven't given us shit. Y'all getting shit given to you from the beginning of time. Y'all been taking other people to do your work from the beginning of time. Now, when the people are finally asked for you to pay them for all that hard work that they did, you want to tell them that they don't deserve it. Ain't that some hypocritical bullshit?
The U.S. refuses to acknowledge slavery as the gravest crime against humanity because they know that reparations would not be enough. If they acknowledged it as the gravest crime against humanity, they would have to assess impact. And assess an impact, they would have to go all the way back from slavery all the way up till now and acknowledge every single system that has caused that impact. They would have to acknowledge Reconstruction and Jim Crow and voter suppression and mass incarceration and all of these other things that would lead them to believe reparations would not be enough. Having a lump sum of money would not be enough because we would also still have to get rid of said systems that stop us from achieving economic mobility. They would have to acknowledge that things like affirmative action was very much necessary. These DEI policies that the administration got rid of were very much necessary. Student loan debt forgiveness, very much necessary. And then on top of that, historically, every single time Black people in this country have seen liberation, other communities have benefited. Look at the civil rights movement. And so if Black people were to be free, were to be liberated, were to receive reparations, and were to receive the proper policies that are necessary, poor white people would also benefit. Women would also benefit. Immigrants would also benefit. All of these oppressed peoples would also benefit like they have historically. And so they would not want us to have reparations or achieve economic mobility. And they sure as hell would not want a whole bunch of other oppressed groups to also see liberation in the process of us getting that. They don't acknowledge slavery as the gravest crime because they know that reparations would not be enough.
The only reason anybody would be against reparations is if they don't feel that this country has anything to repair in how it has treated and continues to treat Black folks.
I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea.
First off, Mitch, you were alive 100 years ago. Look at you. Second, reparations are not just about slavery. They're about repairing the incessant harm that has been done to Black people in this country since we were stolen and brought here, and that does not end with slavery. These people act like Jim Crow was just like a minor inconvenience. It was violence! And I don't know if y'all been looking around lately, but basically reparations should be owed for what was done like 15 minutes ago in this country.
We've, tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war.
If the Civil War was really about righting the wrongs of slavery, then we wouldn't have all these Confederate flags and Confederate statues still just confederating around to this day. To this day!
By passing landmark civil rights legislation.
These people wake up every morning to undo civil rights legislation.
We've elected an African-American president.
Now you know you ain't vote for Barack. We need to become reparationists. We need to make preparations for reparations. And I say that comes with us first making reparations a part of our culture. This should be a part of our lifestyle. And we should be demanding that reparations be given to us by whoever is in the presidency and by whoever wants to be president. And also by our local and state governments. And I don't think that means just waiting to the last minute of an election and saying that we're not going to vote for you unless you give us reparations. Nah. We should be getting behind candidates who already believe in this. And all you white folks who want to be down, baby, you better be reparationists too. That's the new question for your white friends. Do you believe Black people should get reparations? See, reparations are not a capital gain. They're an ethical practice. Because in a society where advancement is determined by money, the only way to correct the systematic hindrance of that advancement is by providing money. Reparations are not some far-reaching thing that have never been figured out before. We need to stop looking at reparations as something we need to imagine. Consider them as something that is very real that needs to happen. What we need to imagine is what we are going to do with the reparations to make sure that our community and ourselves are taken care of. We need to become reparationists.
Now, here's the question I want to ask. Why do people not want Black Americans to get their reparations? You don't know me from nowhere. We are not family members. We are not even related in any form. Why do you feel standing against what will make me happy should be your priority, should be your aim? It's a question I'm asking because all I can see from this is just pure jealousy, is envy, is everything, that looks bad. Imagine Mexicans that you will see in videos right now saying, oh, Black Americans, come, let's become friends. We have to become friends because we have nobody. They don't like us. We also want liberation. So let's join together and become friends and do this. Actually having plans of going on a protest to say, no, Black Americans are not going to get reparations. That's crazy. Forget Africans. You know what Africans are doing? Now Africans are divided into so many factions. Some people are saying pay them Black American, pay them their reparation, and some other people are saying we also want the reparation. You can imagine such selfishness. Then now we're talking about what about other brown people who are saying no, they don't deserve it. After all, the people who actually went through this stuff are not here with them. Now, what about their families? What about, in fact, some of them are even alive because I've seen videos of people who have actually gone through Jim Crow. I think I should do that video. Like people, some of them are still alive right now and they can tell their story for themselves. Now, why do you say those people are not alive? So why are we talking, why are we trying to do this? And what Charlie Kirk even said. Charlie Kirk said that why do you have to pay for something that you were not even alive when it happened? And it's just crazy. Is this not wickedness? The heart of man is purely wicked. And now I see reasons why sometimes Black Americans are so hell-bent on we don't care about you. We don't give it about you. Even me that speak for Black Americans, sometimes they bring their anger to me. And, I'm so understanding to be like, I understand. I don't feel bad because if I'm the one, I'll feel really bad. I won't even trust anybody at this point. Because how would they like people? And then the people will come to their own community, will come to their own country, a place they built. And then they'll be working against them. Come on. Anyways, let me hear your thoughts in the comments. This is really, really heartbreaking. And it's really hurtful as well. Kindly share these videos to everyone. I'll see you on the next one. Please subscribe as well. Alright? And keep coming back for more. Bye, guys.